Comparing a couple 5160 swords here. I was made two other videos about 5160 versus other steels. So here's two swords that are both 5160. Got a Hanwei katana. It's a Mocha, or I think Maru Renshu, and then the 15th century Baylor Arms longsword. Get some angles of this. So my camera up over here. As you can see, the longsword is about close to 5 inches, 5 to 6 inches longer. The Maru Renshu does have much more blade thickness in it. Hard to see. Stays pretty thick throughout, up until the tip. The Kisaki, I think they call it in Japanese. And where this 5160 Baylor Arms longsword is pretty thin, other than it has a center ridge. It's hollow grind too to take out some of the mass of the blade. Stays pretty thin throughout. It's one reason why this Hanwei katana, you have no real flex of the blade, even though they're both 5160. Where you have a thinner, longer blade, you'd get more flex in it. Both the swords, I started cutting with katanas, and I got used to cutting. You can cut with the tip, towards the tip easier with a katana, where it's stiffer, it's thicker, just more rigid to get through targets. And on the longsword, it took me a while to get used to. On the longsword, you gotta cut down the blade some, closer to where your center of percussion is. Try to show this. It's like right about here, if you can't see it. If you cut towards the tip more, you get more flex, where it's further away from the hand. It's gonna be stiffer towards the hand, and just the further out, just the way blades work, you get more wobble then, compared to if you cut here, where you don't get it's more rigid. Helps you get through targets. Do a few test cutting of each. Prefer to have no gloves with the katana. So even though the longsword is longer, you cut about the same area, same distance from the hand with each. 5160 also, it usually doesn't bend if it's heat treated as good, but if it gets to, if it bends close to 90 degrees, it could snap. That's usually where it snaps. But other than that, I mean, with a sword this thick and this stiff, I don't think I could even hit it on anything to bend it to where it'll snap like that. Hit a nail, I mean, a nail will chip the edge and other edge damage like that, but don't see it breaking. A little off of my edge alignment on that upwards cut. See, I don't know, just the katana, I feel more comfortable cutting heavier targets with it. I feel like it's just gonna go through the target, you know, as long as I'm kind of close to my edge alignment. I've been cutting with them longer, and let's see, I'll cut some with the Baylor Arms now. I'm not as confident cutting with it yet, so might not go as hard on it. Gloves on. Remember to cut further down on the blade. Sword is very light. Never cut a 2-liter with it before. Just trying here. These 2 liters can be harder for lighter swords. It's kind of a heavier target for it. As you can see though, no problem. As long as you get good edge alignment and you cut a little bit a little bit down the blade where your blade is stiffer. Should have no problem. Yeah, just blade geometry just comes into effect with swords and cutting. The steels they're made out of too can affect how springy a sword can be or rigid. You can see this blade type here is pretty much a cut and thrust style sword. It's not optimized for the cut, or not fully optimized for the thrust, but it's a little bit of both. A little bit of both. Means it's not going to be great at either, but it'll do pretty good at either. Katana took another ring off that. The katana just feels like, I don't know, it's a little more of a dedicated cutter than the longsword is. You can still thrust though, as a point. A little curved, not too bad. So, go ahead and end it here.